Good afternoon, everybody. It's David Perlmutter from Quantum Listing. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, the FAQs of Marketing with Rebekah Carlson, aka Bekah of Carlton Integrated. This is Bekah's three-peat, her first two webinars with us, the whys of marketing and the hows of marketing, were spectacular, and we have her back for her third appearance. So thank you very much, Bekah. All right, we're recording now.
All right, yes, the little red button is back at the top, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about myself and my company, and hopefully provide some really helpful ways that everyone can do better with what they're doing right now. So just a little more in-depth background. I formed my company 3 years ago in June of 2017 after spending 14 years in-house at an investment firm. And we specialized in retail and parking acquisitions. And I loved it, and I love the people that I work with, and I still get to work with my old team on a few things, which brings me the greatest joy. And now I've been able to expand and grow. And here at Carlson Integrated, I work with a team of 5 other women, each with a diverse skill set and each dedicated to making our clients shine. So interesting background, we are all moms. And so between the 6 of us, we actually have 17 kids that range in age from 3.5 months to 16 years old, which one of the huge positives is that I think we were a little bit better prepared for the work from home challenges of COVID than some other people. And our culture is such that we don't sweat it at all when there are kiddos in the background. I don't think you'll see any of mine today. Mine are on the older side of that realm, of that spectrum, but wanted to share a little bit about what a fun, cool company that we have. And our client portfolio ranges from a small startup in automotive remarketing to an award-winning kitchen designer. And then we have firms who've completed literally billions of dollars of commercial real estate transactions. We get to work with both B2B businesses and consumer-facing firms on a wide variety of projects and ongoing initiatives. I'm also an Illinois licensed real estate managing broker and the past president of NICAR, which is the Northern Illinois Commercial Association of Realtors. And we have about 700 commercial real estate members here in Illinois. If we have not connected before, please reach out to me directly via email and follow us on social media if you'd like. We have active presence on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we get to interact with clients and industry colleagues on all of those on a daily basis. And we do try to post helpful and relevant examples and tips of marketing to help people who are doing their own marketing. So, why are we here today? A couple of reasons. Number one, Julia and David asked. They've become a phenomenal resource and platform for me, and it is just an absolute privilege to join them here today. 2, we've been in business for a little over 3 years, and there are a lot of things that we've had to learn by doing. And I thought it would be fun to share because a lot of other people are learning by doing at the same time. And 3rd, our industry, which is marketing, has done so much shape shifting in my 15 years of experience. And yet right now, those changes are accelerating really dramatically. And it seemed an opportune time to keep others in the know. Now, last year, I did my first marketing webinar ever. I was invited by Quantum Listing and put together the whys of marketing. When I talked about the whys, of course, I had no idea what 2020 would hold. But the premise, which is just that marketing elevates the exposure and credibility of any firm, is as true today, and maybe even more so than it was then. And then earlier this year, Julia and David invited me to present a second webinar, The Hows of Marketing. And you can find both webinars on their site, both video and blog, and also on the CI, Carlson Integrated website. The Hows of Marketing is a solid primer on the strategies and tactics that enable you to develop a marketing plan. Because in marketing, just like in any other area of life, you've got to plan your work and work your plan if you want to achieve results. Well, for the purpose of anchoring today's talk, it's important to understand that everything in marketing centers on the brand. And this is both your corporate brand, and your personal brand. A personal brand? Really? Yes. I had always been one to roll my eyes at the concept of the personal brand because it sounded so like celebrity. But more and more, I appreciate the importance of being authentically you, in addition to being a representative of your firm. You can't have relationships without having a personal brand, even if you don't call it one. People like you for who you are, not just for your profession or the company that you work with. Take a look at the chart here. Most companies have a handle on at least a few of these. Growing your business means making sure you have a cohesive plan for them all. And it doesn't have to be crazy complex, just mindfully addressed. So let's jump into the FAQs. Now, I want to start out with answering some big picture questions and that we have encountered: where you should focus, how to make a marketing plan, channels, and analytics. Where your audience is at has to determine your focus. And secondarily, where the audience you want is needs to be your next priority. If your network is all on LinkedIn, like many of us, use that platform to tell your story. If you're looking for local small shop or small office tenants, join your Chamber of Commerce in the local small business incubator. One way that you can get a really good sense of your marketing plan is to put together a calendar. Seeing it in one place gives you a much better scope of how the channels work together to accomplish your goals. And it gives you the opportunity to be strategic in your efforts. Planning to do 10 big things in September may just be setting yourself up for failure. You can spread it out in a realistic manner if you're seeing it all in one place. The channel talk. People toss around terminology like multi-channel or omni-channel like confetti. The reality is that these terms just say that there are a lot of ways to reach people today, and you can pick all or a few of them, as long as you tie them together with consistent messaging. And lastly, as far as the big picture goes, taking the time to analyze your existing marketing efforts and review the analytics puts you in a much better position to plan your future efforts. If you're doing e-blasts or paid advertising, choose a couple of images and try both out to the same audience to get a sense of what resonates. Try a couple of messages in the exact same way. So much that is online is driven by algorithms, and it's helpful to know when behaviors change. Like this one. Starting last fall, we started to see the trend of people liking social media posts decrease, while the influence of social media continues to grow, especially during this pandemic time when online activity is at record highs. Followers won't say they love you every time they see you, but they pay attention to your content. Or did you know that Facebook itself prioritizes stories and video over static content? Or how about that LinkedIn content sticks around for a few weeks, especially if you have immediate likes, comments, and shares right after you post. You have to pay attention to these kinds of behavioral and algorithm shifts and adjust your strategy accordingly. Once we get out of this big picture stuff, the questions come through from friends and colleagues, and they tend to be pretty tactical. And so I'm going to cover a bunch of them here. So, all right, let's dive in. Setup. These are all options that you may need to set up to have a well-rounded marketing plan. So when it comes to e-blasts, we have set up both MailChimp and Constant Contact for our clients. I know other people who opt to send e-blasts by using the BCC field in Outlook or another email provider. And yes, of course, we're all using BCC because we are responsible for our contacts' data. But one of the challenges of using your own email address as the sender is that the more e-blasts you send, the more the spam filters decide that you're an evil spammer. You, of course, are not an evil spammer, but the filters don't know you. I'm starting to experience these challenges myself, as I've often used my own email as the sender for my MailChimp e-blasts. So it's time to change the plan and create a business sender email address for Carlson Integrated. There are just always ways that we can make things better. And that's one of the fun things about marketing, quite frankly, is that there's always things that we can learn and grow and improve. And a lot of them can happen pretty quickly. Social media is an amazing tool if you elect to use it for business purposes. LinkedIn is most often the platform designed for business. But we are seeing more and more commercial real estate companies and properties on the next tier. That's the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Hosting videos that are created on YouTube or Vimeo allows people to watch video after video of your fabulous properties. There are other social platforms that may or may not be useful to you on a professional level. And it is good to know they exist, but you really don't have to be pressured to be on any of them. It is totally up to you how far down that rabbit hole of social media you want to go. One thing that you should remember before you invest all of your time and energy on social media is that your followers do not actually belong to you. They belong to the platform. So the platform decides if you're a bad dude or a good dude. And if they decide that you're a bad dude and they just tell you you can't send out information, your contacts lose sight of you while you appeal. And this actually happened to my brother while he was running for a state rep position, that because he had political content, suddenly all of his business content was held back. Or there are scenarios like when a platform goes away suddenly, like Musical.ly did. All of the contacts that everyone who had millions of followers on Musical.ly, all of those contacts were gone. They didn't have any access to any of those people ever again. And this is one of the reasons that having an integrated approach that uses that whole circle is really important. Now, one trick of the trade is to use a posting software that plans posts in advance and to schedule posts at peak times for your audience. We use Buffer, and other options are Sprout Social and Hootsuite, which tend to be a little bit more expensive, but they have excellent features as well. All right. Going back to your contacts for a minute. So remember when I said that your contacts on social media platforms don't belong to you? It is so important that you find ways to get and keep information that does belong to you. How many times do you get a business card or meet a new person and then, yeah, I know we all think that later is a good time to deal with those business cards, but a CRM is definitely the best place to put your contacts right away. That way you can interact with them in multiple ways. Card readers are awesome for adding to your phone, but I will say that when it comes time to say, like invite people to your webinar, the people who are just in your phone and not on your email list tend to be forgotten. So it's really helpful to keep all of your contacts in one spot. And we did touch on the benefits of understanding your analytics, but I want to point out that there are some specific tools that you can set up that make it way more effective. Google Analytics / Exact Metrics track website analytics on the back end of a website. The social media posting platforms like that we use for like in Buffer, they have analytics as well. And for a complete picture in one tool, we use Metricool, which connects to the website and the social media platforms at the exact same time and provides a more holistic reporting view for us and for our clients. The next thing I want to touch on is tools. And there are so many tools that are out there, and a lot of them are really cost effective. There are also a few ways that you can get yourself in a little bit of trouble. It's actually pretty easy to infringe on a copyright, even accidentally, online. And that causes your content to be pulled down. We avoid that as much as humanly possible by using paid or free stock imagery from reputable sites. And there's a list right here of ones that we use on a very regular basis. If we make a video, we use licensed music. Our team uses several programs for photo editing. And so while my primary designer and I have Adobe Creative Cloud subscriptions, which is costly, our other associates have found Pixlr and Canva to be super easy to work with, and they're free. Video is crazy and fun. And making a video on your phone can seem intimidating, but there are all sorts of ways to do it that don't have to be scary. I struggle with video. Even my kids say I'm cringy. But having made a handful of them over the past year, I can tell I'm improving. I can also make a video that is just a picture with animated text over it, so it doesn't have to be a selfie of me. And once you make a video, you often need to cut it for the for the different use of where you're posting. Instagram stories limits you to 60 seconds total, which is cut into 4 15-second chunks. But we found that there are some really, there are free and easy online video cutting tools. Actually, that's what I type in Google. Free online video cutting. And pages and pages of free software come through. And you upload your video, you cut it, and you pull it back down. One other way that makes a more professional video is using Adobe Spark. And this tool already has in it the licensed music, the text transitions, stock imagery, and even video shorts that you can put together to make a cohesive branding video. Right now, I saw that they have a 2-month free trial. It might be fun to just check out. I do have a couple of video hints though, no matter what you're doing and where you're doing it. Number 1, keep your camera steady. So that probably means you're not holding it in your hand. Number 2, use a headset or microphone to help prevent background noise. And 3, you should always check your background for things around you and your lighting. So check your environment. Moving forward to websites and SEO. Okay, let's have an honest talk here. Your website matters. It is your virtual brochure and where people go to evaluate your company's offerings and capabilities. Furthermore, it really needs to be responsive. That means that it changes shape and design and format a bit depending on what device other people are on. If you don't have an SSL certificate, that's what makes it HTTPS versus HTTP. These cost like $100 a year, and it's from your website host, and it makes your website safe to the browsers. And it's very, very well worth the investment to not have a error pop up on people's screens when they go to your website that says, do you really want to go here? This could be a terrible, horrible, evil site. It doesn't say those exact words, but it is. People get a notification that it's not a safe site to visit, and it freaks them out. It's worth the $100. And then lastly, your site really needs to house the content that you promote on social so that you can track the analytics circle. So you can track when someone clicks on something on social and then they go to your website and then hopefully they reach out to you. So there should be a beautiful circle to it that you're able to track. I recently read a statistic that 71% of commercial buyers, this is B2B guys, they begin their research with generic Google searches. And then over half of all website visitors will leave the site immediately if it's not attractive. In this day and age, a lot of what we do on our websites is determined by search algorithms that are applied by the magical little bots of Google. There are back-end website plugins that assist you with your SEO, that search engine optimization. And another element that we have found helps you own that first page of Google is to have social media accounts. The more platforms you're on, the more you will dominate that first page of Google, and the more likely it is people will find your firm when they're looking for you. And I think we can all admit that there's not a lot of times that we go to the second, third, fourth, etc. pages of Google to find what we're looking for. Pop-up forms. Ooh, we all see pop-up forms on websites. Consumer-facing websites do it all the time. You go to Bath and Body Works, they're going to ask you to subscribe to their newsletter. But we seem to be afraid of it in the B2B world. Well, remember how I said that social media platforms own your contacts? People who give you their information willingly are taking a second step to establish a relationship with your firm. Getting people to part with that information may be as easy as adding them to your newsletter list, offering a white paper, adding them to an event list. We just added an ebook to our own site, and I will tell you, it was a bit of a hassle to set it up and to set up the auto send functionality through MailChimp, but it is totally worth it. People who have signed up for that actually want to have a relationship with my company. And whatever you do, whatever you choose to do to get people's information, always be diligent to building that into your CRM and into your database. The next topic I want to jump into is property marketing. And here's one goofy little tip for you. So since I was talking about populating that first page of Google, here's my idea. Alignable is a local business networking site. It's for small businesses in a community. Last year, I added 2 branded shopping centers to it. And by branded, I just mean they had like names of shopping centers. They had their own distinct look. You could easily do this with a multifamily building or anything else that has a quasi identity. And my goal was to get, small local tenants to reach out to the owner. That was not what happened. But what did happen is that alignable listing shows up before their website on a Google search. It shows up before their property listings for lease on the very, very large behemoth listing sites. And the reason for that is that Google likes small business better. Google prioritizes small business and through alignable before it even prioritizes those shopping centers' websites. And I thought that honestly was pretty darn cool and something that anybody could do. And that was like a free thing. That was not like a paid thing. That was just a free thing. Another thing I would say is that using social means you don't have to be afraid to advertise properties on social media. And you can be creative using unconventional methods. I have friends who have sold several shopping centers through LinkedIn posts. I have friends who do tours and have leased space on FaceTime. I have friends who identify and underwrite properties long before they ever see them in person. Especially today, our industry is looking for creative ways to increase deal flow. And because video stands out so much, and since those social platforms prioritize it so much, I do recommend that clients complete their own video tours of the space on social, or create branded videos for investment properties, or even engage a professional, like my friend Adam Eckstein of Real Estate Video. And someone like him creates compelling visual representations of high-end buildings in their available spaces. Adam happens to be a drone pilot and includes his own footage. And what we find is that kind of video works really well for assets that trade on an institutional basis. Ooh, my last 2 property marketing pieces can and do work together very nicely. In fact, I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to my colleague Andrea Seni, who runs a firm called Siri Collaborative, or Creco.ai. He's created a dashboard that enables users to connect their various technology platforms in one place. It's a game changer. And they're constantly working to improve the platform, taking in user feedback, making it better. They actually even have a user experience focused homepage that's going to debut really soon, which will be awesome. And they have a My Social feature that functions even better than the buffer software that we use that I told you about earlier. In that structure, you can set it and forget it. You can hook up your social media sites, create posts for each property, and schedule an ongoing property marketing campaign. And furthermore, while there has been a proliferation of listing sites over the past several years, I am highly partial to quantum listing. I dabble on the other big ones, but I actually work in quantum listing. In addition to absolutely loving the leadership and their platform, their Google ad integration is staggering. From a marketing perspective, I have never seen anything like it. It's a couple of clicks and you can start an ad campaign for a property. For my office building in Geneva, I spent $25 and got 30,000 impressions on Google. I've never, ever, ever had so much exposure from an ad. And I didn't have to figure out how to do it myself or hire a Google Ads expert. Plus, they're posting properties every day on social to elevate the outreach and impact of the listings on the platform. You probably know all of this already. I just think their approach is so refreshingly comprehensive that the other guys really do pale in comparison. Now, I want to move on to networking. And I hope you guys don't mind. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn off my video because I understand that the connection's not perfect. So give me a second here. And then I'll talk a little bit more about networking. All right. There I am. There I am not, but I am still here. Don't worry. Okay, networking. So this one's changed the most dramatically in the past 150 days. And I do want to encourage you to find some new places to network online. The virtual world really has become the real world. And I believe that for the foreseeable future, it will remain true. We're not going to assemble in big groups. We need to continue to work to expand our networks in new ways. Facebook has been heavily promoting its groups functionality for the past 9 months. You've probably seen one of their ads. We have billboards here in Chicago. Whenever Facebook promotes something, it's a good indicator that their platform is going to prioritize those aspects in the algorithms. I recently joined the Women in Commercial Real Estate group run by Melissa Swader out of the SVN office in Phoenix. I suddenly have a national network of brokers committed to being super supportive of each other and talking about deals. And my new Facebook menu bar at the top makes sure I know about those group posts long before I ever think about scrolling through my feed. If you're a Twitter user, I have found #SiriChat, which I was introduced to by Julia, to be incredibly insightful as a place to take the pulse of the commercial real estate industry on a national level. A colleague here in Chicago has 9 a.m. online coffees most days, and you can only attend one per week. She makes sure that everybody gets a turn, and I'll be on one of those tomorrow morning. Almost every organization under the sun has transitioned their programming to online options that are inexpensive or free, and you can just dive in. Even my Toastmasters group has a new member who lives an hour and a half away. He couldn't have done it in person, but virtually it works perfectly. Networking with people outside of your geography can bring incredible added benefit. A client in Florida was referred by Andreas at Siri Collaborative. Andreas is in Connecticut. A client in Canada was referred by a local Chicago client. A client in Florida made a referral to a prospect in Colorado. You see what I mean? Your network is full of people who would be willing to make an introduction for you. I'm part of a group that started in the Chicago area called the Strategic Introduction League, and its sole purpose is putting people together. Who do you want to meet? Think about it and make the ask. In the past 2 weeks alone, I have spoken with a customer experience consultant in Minneapolis, a media training specialist in Tampa, and even an architect who built an internationally renowned university in Kenya. People are everywhere who are willing to talk. We just have to ask them to make the introductions. And the newest platform, which I learned about just yesterday and isn't even in here, it was one called Spot City. And this is an online membership-based resource group for small businesses and primarily targeted at women and minority business owners. And it just launched, and I'm really excited to be a part of this group. And it will enable me to scale my business with partnerships for potential government contracts. And I wasn't even thinking about government contracts. Not like 3 days ago, I wasn't thinking about government contracts. But suddenly, because that's the purpose of this site, that world opened up to me. And that was by nature of a 30-minute introduction call. So we are going to change gears again and talk about how we can grow marketing. And there are probably some of these areas that you yourself have thought about. Paid advertising can be done pretty much anywhere. You've got to set a budget and determine how that budget will be allocated. We boost on social for our clients regularly. And then last week, I learned from a new Facebook ads expert friend that the right way to do it is to create actual ads in the ads manager instead of boosting. So we're changing gears now, even within Facebook, for all of our clients. If your goal is website hits and you want to drive traffic outside of just using social media, I do know a couple of professional Google ad experts that will take on new clients. LinkedIn paid advertising is touted to be the most successful, but you do want to be mindful that the average price per click on LinkedIn is $8. Most of our clients don't honestly have the budget to allow for that kind of tab to rack up. And if you are thinking about advertising with publications, just make sure that you check to see what they provide for analytics before you sign a contract. Print advertising is pretty standard, a single price for a single ad. Media placement on websites and e-blasts may not have a pricing that is easy to understand. They're often priced at CPM units, And that is the cost per 1,000 impressions. And that means the platform's traffic for the month dictates the exact cost. For one media buy we looked at last week, that would have been $22,900 per e-blast if their entire circulation received it. I was so glad I ran that complete calculation before I made the recommendation. The cost benefit analysis for a single e-blast, just testing the waters with the new ad location, was definitely not the budget number our client was thinking. And you do want to recognize that media sites and publications will most likely give you broad information about the demographics of the impressions and opens and clicks, but will never reveal to you the identity of or contact information for those individuals. Public relations is another great way to grow your market presence. Developing a strategy and a message is key. We work with Open Slate Communications to do everything from announcements to articles to award submissions that make our clients stand out. This summer, we worked together to nominate 2 clients for GlobeStreet.com Influencer Awards. It was so exciting when they both won. Oh my gosh. We also get to work with clients on press releases and features and bylines. And one of our clients' top ranking stories in an industry publication a couple of weeks ago amplified their voice and gave them credibility that a traditional marketing campaign just doesn't really do. Thought leadership that is delivered by the press is perceived differently by audiences than thought leadership that is delivered by the company. And now, since Open Slate also has vast experience in national surveys and market reports, we've started highlighting to our specific clients that we can take on these sorts of projects. Having a partner with the professional experience to aggregate data, and then you couple that with our own CI design, format, and social media skills, really has enabled us to add value and credibility to our clients who want to lead their industries in this manner. And these are all primarily in the real estate field, by the way. So PR, we are not anything outside of real estate. Oh, giveaways, promotional items. We all have the items that we've received that we love and use over and over. One of my clients told me that they use their Carlson Integrated notebook as a happiness journal, like to write down the good things that happen every day. I was surprised and honored. I sent them that notebook as a holiday gift in late November of 2018. And I love that they use it. I wear my hat from my friend Lauren's environmental firm to my socially distanced coffees. My daughter packs her things to take to grandma's house in a title company bag. Get the idea? People like to get cool stuff, and that stuff sticks around. And truth be told, I'm on a constant quest for fun, unique giveaways, but I don't really have the time to shop. Thank God, one of our clients, Amy Boston from Yes Promotions, has been my supplier of genius ideas and products for the past 10 years. And in all seriousness, if you want to get on our mailing list, just let me know. I would be happy to add you because there's always something cool on there. Whew. All right. Taking a breath, I'm going to drink a sip of water and we're going to move on to lightning round. Okay, so this is where I'm going to cover a handful of things pretty quickly. So here goes. Buying lists. If you are determined to do so, which I never recommend, at least use a reputable source like Exact Data or InfoUSA. You do also want to be mindful that most e-blast service providers, including both MailChimp and Constant Contact, prohibit the usage of any purchase lists on their sites. Big files. Everyone has to share, store, and send big files. And for collaborative stuff with our team and with our clients, we use Google Drive and Dropbox. I do have a client who sends big videos and big audio files via Hightail, and that is another free resource for those kinds of files to be sent. I did want to tell you that one really weird thing I discovered recently. I was making a 200-page statement of qualifications for a development deal for a client, and it required dozens of hyperlinks. Well, when I tried to hyperlink it to documents that were in Dropbox, I learned that Adobe and Dropbox don't talk. There's no connection between the two, and it refused to make those hyperlinks because they were to Dropbox. I had to move all of the files over to Google Drive so that the client could click on the new Google links to retrieve them. And to me, that was a, hey, score 1 for Google and 0 for Dropbox. That was not my favorite thing to discover 20 hours into a project. Fonts. As tempted as you may be to use Chiller or Wingdings or some other crazy font, you do want to note that when your file gets converted to a PDF, it may become uneditable. Adobe Acrobat utilizes standard fonts, and it really may riot against the unusual ones. So unless you know how to convert your text to outlines or save pages as images, which also renders them uneditable, by the way, stick with tried and true. And you might be surprised to know that web fonts can be slightly different than computer fonts, which is another good reason to stick with the standard ones in both places. Electronic payments. You've probably used Stripe, Square, or PayPal in your own shopping transactions. Some other ones that are simple and effective to use include Zelle, Venmo, and Google Pay. For a small fee, QuickBooks users can even process electronic payments from their invoices. And QuickBooks actually reports like a 30% increase in payments received quickly as a result. Fast payments are part of normal consumer-facing businesses, and it's so cool that they work in the B2B world as well. Business cards. As a contact recently told me as he messaged me over LinkedIn, he doesn't need a business card. Of course, I don't have his contact information, so I can't email him without seriously digging into LinkedIn to see if I can find it, because he just sent the note through social media. Social is great and all, but it doesn't make up for the fact that I can't send him a quick email. In my opinion, what's tried and true continues to matter. We are not 100% virtual and social yet, and I don't think we will ever be. I'm finding more and more, daily even, that I get messages on LinkedIn, Facebook Messenger, text messages on my phone, and smoke signals. No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually get smoke signals. But in all seriousness, unless I move the conversation to email, I'm more likely to forget it and it escapes my to-do list. So I gently guide conversations to email whenever possible, and I am always grateful to receive a paper business card or a V card. So you want to be a speaker. I have 3 main suggestions and one that takes a little more effort. Number 1, get involved in leadership in an organization. I promise you, you will end up speaking. 2, let conference organizers know that you're available. Each town just has a handful of professionals who really do this. Or 3, ask your company to sponsor a pay-to-play activity and to get you on a panel. Then the last one that's a little bit different, network with podcasters to get on their podcasts. Many do have guest appearances, and if your story is compelling, they may like to have you stop by. But you have to do a lot of research and legwork on that one. You'll want to listen to some, find ones that really resonate with you and your message and where you feel like you can add value. And last, more about podcasting, webinars, Facebook Live. Oh, if you have something you want to say on a regular basis, a podcast may be the right move for you. And here's a way to do it. Record yourself on Zoom, and from there you can share it live on Facebook, and from there you can save the audio and post the audio only to Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout is an inexpensive podcasting platform, and from there you actually connect to all of the other podcast platforms. That's how you get it on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple. All of those things can go straight through Buzzsprout. And then all you have to do is tell the whole world that it's out there. I can talk to anyone who would like offline about how we do the Freedom Business Show, which is Miami's longest running business talk show, which transitioned from radio to podcast earlier this year. Okay, end of lightning round. We've covered a ton of stuff, but that doesn't mean we've got you covered. I'm gonna turn back on my video. Are there questions that I can answer? What can I do to help?
Hold on. I'll turn on my video too. Bekah, that was awesome. So if somebody wants to just start out, small and build, what do you think is the easiest one to what's the easiest way to get your feet in the water here?
So easiest way to get your feet in the water is to probably honestly go back to the whys and the hows. So think about why you want to do something and then talk about the how you want to do it. And I cannot tell you the importance of just writing stuff down in a calendar of, okay, so if I want to start having social, if I want to start having a social thing, what are the things I want to say? You make the list of 5 things and then you say, oh, and I can talk about this one on Mondays. So every Monday then can become the day that you talk about how much you love being a broker. So being a broker is my favorite thing in the world because XYZ. All right, well, every Monday you're going to talk about why you love being a broker. Wednesdays, you may say, hey, I want to showcase my listings. So you're going to showcase your listings every Wednesday. You're putting it into a calendar so that it's easy to read and easy to execute. The idea is to do a little bit of work up front, and it doesn't, like what I'm telling you is for real how we come up with how a voice and flow work. Mondays, we're going to talk about how much we love what we do. Wednesdays, we're going to showcase some listings. And then Fridays, we're going to talk about closed transactions, because I've closed so many transactions in my marketplace over the past 10 years that even pulling back the old ones makes me sound cool. There we go. Right. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you've just filled your entire social feed, like forever, because you know your business best.
That sounds excellent. And so it also sounds like consistency is important too.
Consistency is key, because you want people to remember you, and you want people to remember specific things about you. So the things about you are, each one of these messages is something that lends credibility to your business, especially, this example of why I do what I do, my listings and my closed transactions. Every single one of those builds credibility for who you are as a broker. And you can, if you stay consistent with them, people will start to remember those messages. If you send too many messages, like, if you have 30,000 different directions you're going with your company, if I'm posting me, how I feel about things next day, then Tuesday I've decided I'm going to post how I'm going to, one Tuesday I say how I feel about the people around me, and then the next Tuesday I'm talking about my dog, and then the next Tuesday I'm talking about, what color of hair my kid dyed their hair this week. It does get a little bit disjointed, and that messaging doesn't come through. So some of that obviously is better for a personal feed anyway. Yeah. But hopefully that gives you an idea of how the messaging and the continuity and consistency of that messaging matters.
Yeah. We have a couple of questions. One is, could you repeat, please, the importance of the need for business cards?
Of course, yes. So it was something that I never ever imagined that somebody would ask me, like, do I really need to have business cards? Like, isn't my LinkedIn outreach to people enough? And my conversation is still, no, it's not enough to just reach out to people on social media. Like, there really has to be something tangible, whether that is a business card, and obviously we're doing most things remote these days. But even when we get back into smaller groups, I actually went to an in-person broker breakfast this morning. There were 6 of us spread out really far, but I still took pieces of paper that had listing information on it. I still have, when I first started going to this broker group 5 years ago, I got business cards from these guys so that I could have their contact information. And so I do think it's important to have documentation, and whether that's print or electronic, you need to have real documentation of how to get a hold of that person beyond just a social media outreach.
Okay. And also from Mr. Guilford, do you put your social media addresses on your business cards?
So I do. My first set of them, I didn't. So my first set, I was a little more shy about that. But yes, you should have your social media handles on your business card. And you can just put, a little, FB, Facebook, and then your handle, your little name there. It doesn't have to be the whole link because it's a business card. But it is important that people can find you, because you do want people to follow you and pay attention to what you're saying on social. You just want to have their contact information beyond just in a social platform.
Okay. I'm going to switch back to the whys and hows slides because we've had a request. But while
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
doing that, can you tell us a little bit about the importance of establishing a personal brand and who should do that?
So I this one used to be hard for me. I thought the idea of a personal brand was ridiculous. Like for real, I poo-pooed it forever. Like, oh my gosh, they're teaching the kids coming out of school they have to have a personal brand. I like it just annoyed the crap out of me, to be honest. I'm sorry for saying the C word. Um, but but I discovered as I advance in the industry, and I've been around for a reasonably long time now. I've been in commercial real estate centric industry for 17 years. I find that people do business with me because I'm me a lot. And I think that in a relationship driven business, there is that element of personal brand. There is that element of people expect me to be talking about marketing, people expect me to be talking about real estate, and people expect me to be talking about the Save a Pet golf outing because that's a commercial real estate golf outing.
Yeah.
Those are three things that on my own personal LinkedIn feed, not my corporate LinkedIn feed, my personal LinkedIn feed, that's what people expect me to be talking about. And that those messages continue to come across and resonate with them because they know me. They know those are the things I talk about and care about. So having a personal brand doesn't mean that you're fluffy and you have to have a logo. It means that you have an identity of who you are and you're sharing that with the people around you. And again, the same things the same ways I look at corporate marketing, I look at personal marketing. So we do have clients that have very much a personal brand who were doing their personal posts, not just their corporate posts. And it's the same process, the exact same thing of developing a message and a flow because they want their personal brand to stand for something too.
How long does it take to establish a personal brand? I mean, if somebody starts today, what's realistic to expect to develop that personal brand?
A personal brand of what people know that like of determining what you're known for, of
Yeah,
what people expect to see from you and are comfortable seeing from you and recognize as a part of who you are.
yeah,
I don't think it takes long at all. I think that's something that can be accomplished in a few months.
yeah.
So it really in a world where our recollection has gone underneath the time of what like goldfish, right? They remember each other for like 7 seconds or something. Like our memory is even shorter because of so much information coming at us. But that repetition that you get through a consistent personal brand and or like just being who you are in all situations and environments so people know who you are, what you stand for, and what you do, that is something that repetition makes people remember. And they'll remember it pretty quickly. It won't take too long.
And you don't have to be outrageous. You don't have to be shocking. You don't have to, be, off the wall to develop this. You should just be who you are, right?
Yeah. So, um, like you don't have to make if it is your brand, you can and should make selfie videos every day of your inspirational stories on LinkedIn. I have a client who does that, and they're phenomenal. If I did that, people would be like, "What is Bekah doing? What is Bekah trying today?" Nobody would take it seriously or expect it to be part of my brand. In part because most people know that I don't love it. I've said it on webinar after webinar. I hate making videos. I'm so cringy. My kids tell me it's awful. So, like, if I were to start doing that, people would see it as fake. And for me, it would be and performing. But people know the things you care about. And if you are consistently telling that same story about the things you care about, like David, I know you care about quantum listing. Yeah. I know you care about your commercial real estate. I know you care about technology. Like these are easy for me. I know these things about you, and I knew them within.
You know something crazy? During quarantine, my older daughter, she's 21, started posting things on TikTok. And what she decided she was going to post about was styling, different types of outfits. And over the course of, 3 or 4 months, and this was happening 100% without my knowledge. And then one day, she told me, or my wife told me, oh, Clara got 1.5 million views on her latest TikTok. And I was like, wait, what are you talking about? And, she's established, her personal brand. It's like being very low key, but, showing, different outfits and what, in her opinion, how she puts things together. I guess, it's called styling. You know, not something that I was really familiar with before. And she's got like almost 200,000 followers from this, and lots of her videos get like over 1 million views. And she posts, 3 or 4 of these 15 or 30-second videos every day. She responds to the comments from her followers, and this is a bright, thoughtful young lady who absolutely did this out of whole cloth. There was, nobody started her on this. She just like figured it out, and is very authentic. And I think people respond to that. And I think you're really on target with your comments on personal brand, just because I've seen my daughter do this incredibly successfully on her own. Quite.
That's so cool. Yay.
And now she's like talking to an intellectual property lawyer about copywriting her handle and making sure that nobody can get it on other platforms. And so I don't know whether it's a viable business what she's doing, but it seems to me when you have a certain number of followers and a certain number of views, you become marketable, which I guess she is doing. She still wants to go to law school, thankfully, but it's really crazy.
Oh, that's so cool.
Do we have more questions? We have a few minutes left before 4 o'clock, so happy to field any other questions. And in the meantime, wait, hold on, sorry, let's go back to see if I can get to the end here.
Yeah, because I actually have a challenge.
Okay, there it
Hold
is.
on.
So,
Go back up. Go up one slide.
One slide, okay.
Yeah, go one slide because I have a challenge,
Okay.
and this is my challenge for everybody.
Okay.
All right.
There we go. All right.
There. Okay. So I want you to think about where the opportunities are and where you can stand out, and where you can spend 1 more hour per week. That's it, 1 hour on marketing or business development. That's it. That's my challenge to you. Spend 1 hour thinking about it and see where that takes you, because I think that you'll be excited and thrilled to find new areas of growth and new areas of developing your own business.
I think that sounds exciting. And if anybody wants to answer how they're going to meet Bekah's challenge in the chat, feel free to. And if you want to get in touch with Bekah, and whether just to ask her some follow-up questions or to follow her on any of her social media accounts, here is all her, or of course to hire Carlson Integrated to help you with your marketing. Here is her contact info. And I can tell you that the Bekah you get today on this webinar is the Bekah you get every single day. This is really, she is the most passionate marketing professional and real estate professional you'll ever care to meet. And it's a pleasure to work with Bekah, and she always comes prepared. I can tell you that. So thank you. So it doesn't seem anybody else wants to publicly ask any questions, but maybe you can later. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today in spending some of your time. We hope you found this valuable. Bekah, thank you so much. I know how hard you work on preparing for these, and we're truly grateful. And the you're welcome. We have a lovely comment. It's thank you, Bekah and David. Thank you for the helpful and
Aw,
relative webinars.
you got a K-pop heart. My daughter loves K-pop, and so K-pop hearts are like this.
Yeah. And also, of course, thank you to Julia, who helps organize everything and keeps everything on track here at Quantum Listing. So I'm going to say goodbye for this week. Next week, by the way, I believe we're going to have Mike Lynn from Progressive Real Estate Partners as our guest on our webinar. Mike he's a terrific guy, super bright, and has really started doing very creative things with videos to promote the shopping centers that he's marketing for sale. So up in
His personal brand is like on point.
yeah. So and it's very exciting to have him with us. So thank you, everyone, and we will see you hopefully next week or real soon. And don't be a stranger if you're not a member of Quantum Listing yet. Please sign up. We'd love to have you as part of our Quantum Listing community, and we'll talk to you soon.